There you go. So we are now recording. So we do ask that everyone's muted, just so that we can really hear everything really clearly. But of course, you can unmute and ask questions. You can also post comments, questions, and feedback on the chat facility in the Zoom. And we do really encourage you to ask questions later as well. Just a reminder that although you can post questions, we do ask that you don't post any links or images, just because we can't control those and we may have to remove you from the meeting. And then, of course, a reminder that we are active on social media, which is ARCC Ltd. And you can follow that same link to our YouTube for this recording later, if you want any of your friends or family to benefit from it. So before I introduce our wonderful speaker, I'm just going to do a Zoom poll, which basically you're just going to click a button. And it's just to give us an idea of sort of everyone's understanding at the beginning. So you should see on your screen a poll that's come up. And it should say, I feel confident that I understand why diabetes type 2 is more common in the South Asian community. And we're talking about specifically the South Asian community within the UK. So it's just understanding of why you might think that is the case. And you can click strongly agree, agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. There is no right or wrong. It's just your opinion. Thank you. So we've got 3/4 of you saying agree, and 1/4 of you saying disagree. Okay, so there's some good space there for us to increase our knowledge and understanding of those myths of diabetes and the things that are true of diabetes in the South Asian community. Brilliant. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our fabulous speaker. So Fareeha Jay, she's an anthropologist and then turned dietitian, and she's currently based in Plymouth. And she has been working as a diabetes specialist in the NHS for the last 5 years. And she's amazing at delivering educational sessions to people newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and those that have had it longer. She has a specialist interest in the South Asian diets and provides specialist advice to South Asians, not just here in the UK, but across the globe. And she's extremely passionate about providing the best available nutrition advice to people with South Asian background, which is what led her to be the one that developed the South Asian Eat Well Guide. And that is amazing. I use it in our expert patients program at the moment. So she has expertise in healthy eating and sustainable diets for ethnic minority groups. And she's also a dietitian with a high social media profile and uses evidence-based nutrition to support communication messages to the public. Again, focusing on those ethnic minority groups, regularly featuring in print, broadcast, and social media. And we are in good hands. She's got lots of experience conducting talks and workshops to groups, organizations, and schools. And some of her recent work has entailed talks on sustainable eating, immune optimization, and healthy eating on a budget. So we asked today, could you help us bust some myths around diabetes from the South Asian populations this evening? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you for such a lovely introduction as well, and welcome everyone. Before I start my talk, I'm really interested to know that all of you who are attending this session, have you got diabetes, or are you at risk of diabetes? I'm really interested to know. So because there are not many people, do you want to raise hands, or do you want to let me know? Because I'm really curious to know. You've got diabetes, Milani. What else? Who else? If you can put a message in, I'm just, because obviously you're here, so I'm just guessing that you all are at risk of diabetes. The thing is, okay, no one else has said.
Sorry, I was pre-diabetic, but
pre-diabetic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the thing is, when we talk about diabetes, it's a minefield, and understanding what to eat, how much to eat, what type of foods to eat in diabetes. Perhaps we can discuss it with Liz, and I can do that kind of a talk someday as well, what to eat, how much to eat. And diabetes, we can talk, I can talk for at least 8 to 10 weeks, different sessions talking about diabetes. So that's how fast it is. So today I'm just focusing on the diabetes myths, and that the reason why I'm focusing on these diabetes myths is, and this is what we decided on, but because when I'm doing my online consultations, when I'm doing these talks, these always come up. These myths come up, and it is time that we really need to bust them. And the only way forward is educating and awareness. So here is a group of people. I'm really pleased that you're here. You can then further disseminate this information and knowledge to your friends and family as well. So we'll make a start. I'll share my screen. Hang on. Technology is good, but also complicated. Let me play from start. Can you see the screen now? Okay, great. So the topic for today's webinar is busting diabetes myths in the South Asian communities. I'll be happy as we go along the slides, and if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer as we go along, because we're not many of us here, so I think it is manageable. My introduction has been given by Dizzy, so I'll just skip the introduction part and we'll just crack on. So when we think about diabetes, first, let's look at the statistics. So, and I'm sure you already know, most of you would be knowing that South Asian and Black people are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than white people. So that is a fact. Type 2 diabetes is up to 6 times more common in the people from South Asian descent. So when I say South Asia, we're talking about people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all of the, and we know that these communities are now comprise the majority of ethnic groups in the United Kingdom. In 2010, so just imagine, in 2010, I'm honestly not sure what's happening now. The estimated numbers were 388,000 South Asian people had type 2 diabetes, which is the 15% of the population of people with diabetes. So looking at what's happening, I'm thinking that the numbers have gone way up than, this 388,000, but it's all about collecting the data and doing the research. But now so this understanding that the numbers of South Asian communities are way more. Yeah. So why is that? Why are the South Asians at higher risk of type 2 diabetes? So again, as I said, that I can go on, and this webinar can go for 8-10 weeks, but just giving you a brief idea that why are we at higher risks? Why are South Asians at higher risk? Firstly, it's just genetics. This is how we are. And they're doing lots of research on it, lots of studies on it, and they're trying to find out that how are South Asians different from other Caucasian, other communities that, may put us at higher risk. We, for some reason, South Asians, we are more insulin resistant as compared to the other populations, and on the other hand, if a South Asian person has a 23 BMI and a white Caucasian person has a 23 BMI, even then we are at higher risk. Because for some reason, among the South Asian communities, what happens is we collect all our weight around our waist over here. And when we have more weight around the waist, this means that all our important organs are there, the liver, the kidney, and that is being grasped by so much fat and putting us at risk of diabetes. Then lifestyle factors is the diet, exercise, smoking. And I think that these lifestyle factors have a lot to do with our culture as well, not moving more. Women think that, we're working at home, oh, we're tired, we can't do exercise. And that's another story, but those are the factors which are also affecting, diabetes. There's language barrier, there's social stigma. There's so many, the belief system is so strong in some cases, which makes it difficult, to understand diabetes at times. And just, I thought that I'll just put these barriers like this, that why is it that we as South Asians are getting more and more diabetes? So of course, and then again, of course, the dietary habits are there, and how we eat and what we eat. We can talk on and on about that in another webinar, and that's one side of it. But on the other hand, other contributing factors is the low socioeconomic position, the cultural barriers, the language barriers, our attitudes towards change, the lifestyle factors, and genetics I've already discussed. So when I believe that the myths which have been ingrained in us a lot is to do with they're all linked. So they are all steered by the links are whatever myths we have, they are the cultural barriers, whatever myths we have, they're because of the language barriers, whatever myths they are, those are because of our attitudes. So I think that the first and the foremost important thing is to bust these myths, and we'll start talking about these myths. And I'll be happy to, whatever questions come across, please keep on asking. When we talk about myths, there are two types of myths, social myths and marketing myths. So social myths are more, what my mom told me, what my grandma told me, what my grandma's neighbor's brother's uncle told her, so that's one side of it. And the other these days is the marketing myths, which is all used by brands to shape their image and increase sales. And I think the South Asian communities are affected by both. So one is what my grandma said, but on the other hand, because of the WhatsApps and all, we're spreading such information which is not evidence-based, and they're dispersed through family, social media, and WhatsApp. So we will try to cover both these myths, the social myths and the marketing myths together. So some of the myths which I'm going to talk about, I think that they are universal. Regardless whether you're a South Asian or not, you get to hear these myths. So I'll start talking about all these myths one by one. Again, there are hundreds of them. I'll try to cover as many as I can in today's talk. So the first myth is that I usually get I hear my clients saying that I don't eat sugary foods. Even then I've got type 2 diabetes. So the belief that sugar, because we have sugar, we'll get diabetes, that's not the case. You might see so many people who don't like sweet dishes, who don't like desserts, who don't eat sugar, but they will still get diabetes. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but many times among the Indian and the Pakistani communities, I've heard that they don't even call diabetes. They call it sugar. What's your condition? When I ask them, they say, I've got sugar, because they think that it's because of sugar. They had sugar and now they've got diabetes. So this myth really needs to be busted, because sugar will not directly cause you diabetes. It may have a genetic component, and the trigger could be the type of lifestyle. So if you might have gained weight because of eating burgers or chips or, pakoras, samosas, and you have gained weight, and that has caused you diabetes, and not that you had the gulab jamun or anything sweet. So it's about obesity, not having a healthy diet, or not getting enough physical activity. What happens is in type 2 diabetes, we have gradual loss of natural insulin and insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is associated with excess fat around the middle of the body, which I already talked about. So this is one myth busted. So next time when someone says to you that I've got sugar, you are going to tell them that no, it's not the sugar, it's your lifestyle. So if any question on this slide, you can ask, otherwise I'll move forward.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go
when
on.
You say no sugar, like a lot of times I hear people saying like, oh, I don't eat sugar, but then when I question them a bit further, they do eat a lot of like bread and pasta and rice. Yes. And I think that maybe that's a myth as well, like that carbohydrates are not sugar.
Who is this talking?
I'm sorry, it's me, Lizzie. Sorry, I have my video. Sorry.
Lizzie, the thing is, and that's why I said that I would really love to do a session where we talk about what is sugar. You talked about, bread, rice, pasta, and all. Is that the sugar we need to be avoiding? Really not. It's all about what type of rice you're having, what type of bread you're having, and how much you're having. So, it will come in the coming slides as well, but it's the general overall lifestyle you're having, and the entire food groups you're having. I think there's a raised hand among Ima.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Fareeha. I just wanted to know, I thought I heard you say that it's about excess fat storage around your belly or the middle area. Yeah. How would you know what body type you are, and if you're likely to, or if we can catch it early in our children and start understanding what body types we are?
So the thing is, Ima, there are two, basically when we talk about body types, we talk about the pear-shaped body and the apple-shaped body. So the pear-shaped body is when most of your fat, and that's why I say that genetics is so important, so much plays a role, because when you have got a pear-shaped body, for some reason, people have more weight around their hips area. And that puts you at lower risk any case. When you are apple-shaped body, and that is when you start collecting weight around your waist, you will know, everyone will know that, I'm gaining. Many times people come to me, I'm not overweight. It's just the fat around my belly which is bothering me. And that is the fat which is dangerous. So yes, and because we, being as from the South Asian communities, we know that this is going to happen to us. So when you're talking about your children and their children, you just have to think about the lifestyle. And that's what I said, that perhaps we can do another talk where I can talk about what kind of lifestyle can we follow to prevent getting diabetes. Yeah, can I move?
Great, thank you. Thank you.
I'll move to the next slide then. So the next slide is probably it's what Lizzie was saying. Another is carbohydrates are bad for diabetes. So many of my patients and clients, when I speak to them, they have completely stopped having carbs. They're on a keto diet or, Atkins diet, and they're not having carbs. And that again is a myth. And I'll say that it's not just for the South Asian communities, it's for everyone. We need to understand the importance of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the foundation of a healthy diet, whether you have diabetes or not. They're a source of energy. You're walking, you're talking, you're moving. How is that happening? That is happening from the energy you're getting from these starchy carbohydrates, the bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, cereals. They break down into your body, changing it to sugar, but this sugar gives you energy. So it gives you fiber, it gives you B vitamins. So the important thing over here is to understand is that it's not that they're bad or you're going to stop having them. First, it's the type. So are you having bread or are you having a scone or a cake? So the better choice is definitely having the bread. And then what type? Are you having brown bread or are you having white bread? So we're going for the brown bread. Are you having 5 slices of bread or are you having 1 slice of bread? So it's all about how much you're having them, how often you're having them, and the type of carbs you're having. That will make a difference. And carbohydrates are not bad at all. Can I move to the other slide or any questions so far?
No, it's very clear. Thank you.
Great. I'll keep on moving to the next slide. And if someone has a question, they can just, butt in. Okay. So the other myth is, I'm struggling to, the other myth is, since I was diagnosed with diabetes, I've stopped having roti and rice. I only eat bread. This is the same. I've repeated it because this is something which we need to embed in our head. And I've written it over here, that things to keep in mind. How much are you having? How often are you having them? And what type of roti, rice, bread you're having? So this is something which is really important. So this has already been covered. Then very common again, many of my patients, they stop having fruit. They're not having fruit. No fruits for me. I've got diabetes. So again, definitely absolutely true that when we have fruit, it breaks down into our body, changing into fructose. So, and that is sugar. But on the other hand, fruit and vegetables are high in antioxidants. They're high in vitamins. They're full of fiber. They have got so much so many nutrients in them. So we want you to have them, because if you stop having them, you will lose out on so many vitamins and minerals. And many times I've seen that many of my clients, what happens to them is that they become deficient in many vitamins and minerals because they've stopped having fruit. So the way forward is that no fruits for me is it is a myth. You can have fruits, but it's, again, if you look at the bottom of the slide, it comes to how much fruit are you having? Are you finishing the whole punnet of grapes? Or are you just having a handful of grapes? How often are you having? Are you having fruit all day long? Or are you having it, little and often all day? So what we say is 2 to 3 portions of fruit in a day. You can have 2 to 3 portions. Spread them out. Don't have them in one go. The portion size should be no more than your palm size, so 80 grams. and wherever possible, have them with their skins on. So that's the extra fiber. So if you're having an apple, not getting rid of the skin, but having the skin with it, because in diabetes, again, we can talk about that some other day, but fiber is extremely important, and fiber will slow down the release of sugars in your body. So we want them with their skins on. So that's another myth busted. Now, the other myth, this is very common as well. I know I can have fruit. So many of them say that, yeah, we know that we can have fruit, but I only avoid grapes and bananas and mangoes as they are high in sugar. It's been years I haven't had them. So you know how we South Asian people love our mangoes. And I feel so sad when some of my clients say that, you know, we've not had mangoes for this many years, and it really makes me upset, because certainly you can have all the fruits. I do understand where they are coming from, because these fruits, if you compare them with other fruits, they are high in sugar. But again, we cannot ignore the fact that they are high in vitamins, minerals, and they've got fiber as well. So again, it comes down to how much are you having? Are you having 3 mangoes because it's the mango season? Or are you having 80 grams? So I would like to focus, when I'm talking about mango specifically, I would say don't go more than 80 grams. So 80 grams can sometimes be the smaller mangoes, but sometimes you have to divide the bigger mangoes into half. And that's 80 grams is the portion. Yes, so that's another myth busted. Any questions, please keep on asking. Now, this is a very interesting one which I get. Is that since I've stopped having fruit, I have fruit juice to get my vitamins. So many of my patients, they're not having fruit, but for some reason they think that fruit juice is better. I would say that if there is a choice between fruit juice and fruit, having whole fruit is always better. Because what happens is when you're having whole fruit, you're getting the fiber, but you're also chewing it. So you're using energy to get energy. Once it gets into your system, your body has to break down, your body has to work hard to take out those sugars. On the other hand, when you have a glass of juice, your body doesn't have to work hard. You're not chewing it. Once it goes into your system, your body doesn't have to break it down. It will quickly absorb in your system. So if you compare these two, when you have fruit juice, you will get an instant sugar rise. So we always say that go for whole fruits rather than fruit juice. Fruit juices can be high in sugars. They have less fiber than the whole fruits. And as mentioned in the slide, you are better off eating the actual fruit and avoiding juices. And then again, if you want to drink fruit juice, limit it to the maximum of a small glass once a day. So many times, some of my clients, they really like their orange juice. So I say to them that first, I would want you to have fruit, but if you really love your juice, no more than 150 ml. So that's the portion for a fruit juice. And perhaps having it with the starchy carbs so that the release of the sugars is slower. Now, again, another interesting one. I get what my clients and patients say to me. I don't use sugar. No, I'm fine. I only use jaggery and honey. That's fine. I'm like, no, that's also sugar. But the response I get is, but they're natural. So I might as well have them. I've been told that honey is good for diabetes. So this is the responses which I get. So we must remember, sugar is sugar in whatever form. So it's sugar, good, honey. I know honey has got many antibacterial and antifungal properties. Good will also have certain vitamins and minerals. That's I agree upon. But at present, we're talking about sugar levels. If you have jaggery, if you have good, it will affect your sugar levels. If you have honey, it will affect your sugar levels, regardless they are natural or not. So we are thinking about your sugar levels at present. Yeah, this is also mentioned in the slide, so I don't want to repeat reading the slide, but just again making sure that everything, all of them are the same. Now, this is the recent one I've been getting. So I would call this, when I said marketing myths, I would call this more of the moringa leaves as a marketing myth rather than the traditional myths which we had. So the questions which I get from my patients which are on top, and very commonly I get these questions that, please tell me the dosage of moringa leaves for my diabetes, as if, this is something which is everyone is using. And it's like, as a dietitian, I should be just telling them the dosage. This is how much they believe in this myth. I have grown moringa plants in my garden for my diabetes. These are the real statements. I've just put them down here. Moringa must be beneficial for diabetes, as I have seen so many YouTube videos. So this is where we say that why evidence-based information is really, really important. So moringa, there is no evidence to suggest that, moringa will control your diabetes. It is a plant grown in northern India, and it was used in folk medicine, leaves, flowers. And I say there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad with it. And if you want to have moringa leaves, please continue having them. But thinking that it will cure your, diabetes, or it will control your sugar levels, that's somewhat not true. The studies also are very limited and mostly done in animals and, done in the science labs. Long-term human studies are required to determine the effect of moringa leaves, their physiological mechanisms, active ingredients, and safety. So my take on this one is that there's nothing wrong in having moringa leaves, but the belief that, I will have moringa and it will cure my diabetes, we need to bust this myth. And I think it's more to do with people selling their moringa leaves or selling their videos to getting more likes and views. That is something which is happening, which I call the marketing myths in the first part of my talk. Now, the other one.
Fareeha, Fareeha, I'm just going to let you know, I think Emma has her hand up.
Okay, Emma, go for it. You just ask whenever you want.
Thank you. Fareeha, I've heard a lot in my community, the Bangladeshi community, about bitter gourd or karele.
Oh, yes, that's coming up. That's slides.
Well, I'll leave that bit, but there's another part of it. So mangoes, while you said only have 80 grams. So when mangoes are in their sweet state, right? I know people don't have them who have diabetes, but they seem to think it's okay to have it as imli. So when it goes into its sour state, or when it's dried, or when it's made into a paste, is that okay, or is it still
it's exactly this is the problem. Many times you said this, and it's really funny because many times when my patients say that my mango was not sweet, sometimes every time you don't get a sweet mango or sweet fruit, so they say, oh, I don't count that one, so I'm going to go for the other 80 grams. So regardless, whatever the sugar stays in, so even if they make it a bit khatta after some time, like you said, it changes the taste or whatever, but the sugar is still there. So this is something you need to tell your community now. Is that answered? And the Karela will come up soon.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Now the next one, I call this a marketing one, the quinoa, the superfood for my diabetes. So quinoa is referred as a superfood. So first we must understand that all foods are superfoods, because every food will have a different nutrient, will have different vitamins, minerals. So I think the term superfood is marketing altogether. On the screen, if you see on the right-hand side, I've put up a picture which says quinoa, superfood, the mother of all grains. I took this picture from a very popular Facebook group, and they've made this Facebook group where they are selling quinoa. And people are buying them, advertising, saying that it will cure your diabetes, it's good for diabetes, which is not the case. The thing with quinoa is that it is a grain, and it is high in fiber, it is high in protein. So when we include quinoa in our diet, so rather than me having what should I say, a roti made from wheat, or if I'm trying to make a roti from quinoa, just an example, quinoa, because it has more fiber, because it has more protein, it will not give me those sugar spikes. So yes, but that is the case for anything which has got lots of fiber. So then that's why we say that go for whole meal, whole grain, because if you have whole meal, whole grain, that's more fiber, and that will control your sugar levels. So as I put up in the slide, that it may help you lower your risk of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, but research is needed. Therefore, quinoa can be a good choice to manage diabetes, but you still must be careful of the amounts you're having. So again, it comes because quinoa also has got carbs. So we have to think about how much we're having. At the end of the day, there is nothing super about any food that you'll start having and it will cure your diabetes. It's just that probably quinoa can manage your sugar levels better because of the extra fiber in it. So I would say that if you're having your roti, wheat roti, have the bhus roti, have it whole grain, have it the brown atta roti, and you should be fine. That's also the fiber. Now this is for you. I drink karele ka juice every day for my diabetes. I get this all the time. I drink cumin and coriander seeds water every day for my diabetes. So these are the two very common ones which I get. So the thing is, bitter gourd isn't an approved treatment or medication for diabetes. You will never go to your GP, or you would never see your dietitian telling you that, okay, I'm giving you karele ka juice and now your diabetes will be cured, or it will control your sugar levels. That is not the case. There is ongoing research on it, but most of the studies have failed to show any benefits of bitter gourd. Some studies have shown promising results, although better designed and clinical trials are required to confirm bitter gourd's role in diabetes treatment. The problem is that now that we're talking about it, why am I concerned? There's nothing wrong in having a bitter gourd juice, but why are you going through that torture? Because it's not nice to have. It's not nice to taste at all. And then many times I've seen that they start having these things and then they ignore the medications which their doctors, their GPs have given them, because they believe that, if I'm having bitter, and many times what happens is they have bitter gourd juice and they're having the medication and they say to me, see, the bitter gourd juice did it for me. And I say to them, no, that medication did it for you. So it creates confusion as well. As far as the cumin and the coriander seeds is concerned, there have been some small animal studies suggesting that coriander seeds may reduce sugar levels in blood, but most of these studies were done on rats. Studies on concentrated cumin supplements have shown positive results on test tube studies, though it is not clear what causes this effect or how much is needed. This I just took many screenshots, and I don't blame the South Asian people or anyone who's online, because there is so much misinformation online. Look at how many videos and how many things they're not giving you the right information. Like over here, if you read natural drink for cure diabetes, kill diabetes with just 1 glass daily, coriander to manage blood sugar levels. So this is all over the internet. So how can I blame the community? I can't, because there is so much misguidance being given. And this is all for views, and this is all for, selling their products. And that's why I always say to all the community members, to all my patients and clients, that always look for authentic people like dietitians, doctors, for proper professional people, and don't rely on these websites and people who are not trained to talk about what they should be talking about. Then another myth is eating dried jamun. I'm not sure if jamun, because when I was little and I used to be in Pakistan, we used to have jamun quite a bit over there. Over here in UK, I think it's not a very common fruit, but it is found in many desi supermarkets. And jamun fruit has antioxidants. It has got phenolic compounds, but it has its health benefits, but I did not find any evidence to suggest that if someone eats jamun on an empty stomach, it will improve their sugar levels. So this is something to consider. I think there's so many slides to cover, so I'll move a bit quickly. The other one is drinking okra water, drinking marrow, courgette water. All these come up every day. So we must understand the importance of these vegetables. Like okra has potassium, vitamin B, vitamin C, calcium. If we look at courgette, it has got vitamin A, B, C, E, K. It has got all those vitamins. but you can have them, but not thinking that they will cure your diabetes. For okra, I have found limited studies on rats which have been done with regards to okra and diabetes. But as far as the marrow, I didn't even find any studies. The only explanation which I can think of is that all these vegetables are high in fiber. And when I do my talks on diabetes, I always say that have more and more fiber in your diet to slow down the absorption of sugar in the body. And I always say that aim to have half a plate of vegetables in both your meals, lunch and dinner. The more the fiber, the better for diabetes. So the only explanation for these myths can be that because they're asking you to have these vegetables, they've got more fiber and they can control your sugar levels. But if they're talking about juice, drinking the juice of okra, drinking the juice of courgette, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, this is a very interesting one, and I don't even want to bust it because I think we should start thinking about it more and more. And this is something some of my clients told me, that how they are controlling their sugar levels is that soak cattle feed for night. Drinking that water can help you with diabetes control. So the cattle feed has got roughages of pasture, forage, hay, maize, fodder, straw, and grain, and they're putting that in water and having that water. And then they're saying that they're having it in a clay utensil because that will, work better for their diabetes. So please, let's educate and create this awareness now. Then there is this another myth about drinking juice of neem ke patte. This is also very popular and common. Neem trees are native to India and grow widely across the country. Today, neem leaves can be found in different markets. And in India, the neem tree is sacred and is linked to many Hindu festivals as well. There is a legend that states that planting at least 3 neem trees in one's lifetime will pave the way to heaven. Neem leaves have been used in traditional Ayurvedic medicine since ancient times. So then we really need to understand this thing that, something which has a significance with regards to religion, we have to be really sensitive about this as well. So I will completely never totally disregard someone who's having neem ke patte, but just understanding that they can continue having their neem ke patte because how we are, close to our religion, close to our beliefs. But then again, understanding that we need to be listening to our GP, we need to be taking medication, we need to change our lifestyle, we need to include some sort of activity in our life. And here I will talk a little bit about the Ayurvedic medicine as well. The thing with Ayurvedic medicine is, I think that because it is such a good way of living, it talks about healthy eating, it talks about foot care, it talks about yoga, it talks about medication. So it talks about all the things which we talk about in diabetes management anyway. So when people start following Ayurveda, they start seeing results and they think that it's the herbs and the roots and the plants which is doing it. I think it's the overall how Ayurveda medicine practice helps them with their sugar levels, and there's nothing wrong with it. So, and that's why I say that we really have to consider that the belief system alongside with it as well. And because it's being connected to physically, spiritually, and physiological process to promote a healthy relationship with your mind, body, and soul. And this is what we talk about in diabetes as well. But then again, thinking about the, tree barks, roots of plants, bitter gourd is also part of this Ayurvedic medicine, leaves. Totally relying on this is something which I will never recommend because probably it's, again, I'll say that it's the overall lifestyle which they follow in the Ayurvedic medicine, which makes a difference. And I looked up a systematic review over here as well, and there was significant glucose lowering effects with the use of some herbal mixtures, but due to methodological deficiencies and small sample sizes, conclusion cannot be drawn with regards to the efficacy. No significant adverse events were reported, but there is insufficient evidence to recommend the use of these interventions in routine clinical practice. Further studies are needed. So this I leave to you. At the end of the day, shall we follow them? This is a question I ask myself, and I'll ask you as well, that shall we be following them? Shall we stop following them? It really depends. Some myths at times can be harmful, have caused harm. Most of them have caused harm because what the people have been doing is that they have stopped having their medication, or they just totally rely on them. They're not changing their lifestyle. They're not including any exercise, but they're just having the neem ke patte. And that's where the problem comes. Some of the myths might not be harmful, but there is a chance that it might encourage people to stop their medication. So this is where the problem lies. So that's why awareness is really important. And I'll again say that we should not rely on these myths for diabetes control. Thank you very much. I thought we should leave 10-15 minutes for some questions as well. But thank you very much. Happy to answer to any sort of questions. I'll stop.
Well, thank you. That was brilliant. And I like that you were really specific. You went into a lot of, specific myths, which was really good. And I think will really help a lot of people. So we have already had quite a few questions in the chat already.
Okay.
So I know that they definitely will have some to go ahead. But if anyone wants to ask verbally, just unmute yourself, wave, put up a virtual hand, do whatever you need to do. But I know that was it Sana? I know you had a specific question around stevia and things. So if you want to ask, that's absolutely fine. I'll just see if you want to unmute, otherwise I can ask for you. Okay, so I will ask, but yeah, just I just wanted to make sure it's acknowledged to Sana. So she was asking, does stevia leaf and methi dana affect blood sugar?
So stevia, and what's the other one?
Methi dana. I'm probably saying it wrong. My apologies.
Methi dana. Methi. Okay, methi. So stevia is, these days we're using stevia as a sweetener. Yeah. So I think it's the best way if you want to, if you want to control your sugar levels. It is extremely sweet and is safe because it's an extract from the plant. So there is always this, and here I would like to mention one thing, that there is always this scare around sweeteners as well. So living in UK, all these are tested. There is robust testing taking place on all these sweeteners. So they're safe to use. Among these sweeteners, stevia is also one of them. So yes, you can go for it. You can use stevia. As far as methi dana is concerned, I'm not sure in what context you're asking, because methi is a vegetable, is in fenugreek. Yeah, fenugreek leaves. So fenugreek is just like their leaves. So this is again taking us back to those myths which I've already discussed, that, the belief that this leaf will do that and this leaf will do that. They won't do anything. There's no evidence to suggest that they will do anything for your sugar levels. Sana, does that answer your question? Yeah, fenugreek leaves, I totally understand. No, there is no, I have not seen any study or any evidence that fenugreek will have a positive impact on your sugars.
And she did just expand to say, is that the same for the seed as well as the leaves?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Milani, I don't know if you wanted to ask your question.
Yes, I just wanted to know, I know this is all about foods, but has menopause have an effect on blood sugar levels? Because I've been diabetic since the age of 35, 36, and I'm not worried to say, but I'm 56 now. And menopause is really giving me a hard time in the last, I'd say, year has got really, really bad, where it's just uncontrollable.
Very difficult. Yes. So have you seen your GP for it?
I have been to GP on several occasions, and I've actually got another appointment on Monday, because it's just too much for me to deal with. No. I've not had any really support or help regards. I know,
but probably they will, because menopause is all over the news these days. They're highlighting it a lot. So I'm hoping that this time when you go to your GP, they might pay more attention to it, and they might, they shouldn't be disregarding it at all. As far as the sugar levels are concerned, yes, you are absolutely right, because in the menopause stage, there's so many hormonal changes taking place in our body, and we must remember that this diabetes is also because of so many insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone. And we're getting diabetes because of insulin resistance. And when we are in a menopause, this is also all jumbled up and confused. So your sugar levels will go up and down. Also because in menopause, what happens is, I'm not sure, but many of us, we have this mental blockages, we feel anxiety, we feel yes, and that will have an impact on your sugar levels as well. So if you think of that way directly, it is not affecting your sugar levels, but because you're feeling stressed and your anxiety levels have gone up because of menopause, that is causing your sugar levels to go up. So surely, you need to discuss it with your GP. I'm not sure on what level, what are the problems, but then
because
then they can
because
if you were on HRT or not, I'm not sure.
No, I didn't. I decided not to go on any of that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of the food, I literally have brown, and only a small amount. And even the rice, I mean, it's something that we'd normally eat regularly and a lot, but I would have less rice, more meat, or whatever it is I'm eating. So it would literally be like a decoration on my plate, so to speak.
Okay.
So
what about vegetables? Are you having?
No, I eat lots of vegetables, and I don't have fruit juices, and I do have fruit, but because I've been doing all that, and then to see it still go up, it's quite disappointing. It's kind of like you're doing the right thing. But
so let me tell you one thing, please stop blaming yourself. Don't be disappointed. It's not your fault at all. Not at your fault at all. Then this is what happens, and then many times I've seen that people feel so disappointed in themselves that, it has an adverse effect on their eating habits as well. They're like, oh, I might as well eat that chocolate cake because, it's not working.
So right.
So please don't take it on yourself. It's your physiology that's doing it. It's your body that's doing it. And as I can't help you with the menopause side of it, that's your GP, and he needs your GP, he or she, whatever, they need to take notice of it.
No, thank you. It's nice to know. Because it's sometimes, when you hear other people and some people dismiss it and are not sure or whatever. But I've never been given any answer when I've gone to the GP. I have asked, and I've never been said, well, that could be a possibility.
Oh yes, 100%, because just keep on thinking that it's your menopause. It's all to do with hormones. Diabetes, it's all to do with your hormones. So it comes down to your hormone in the body, isn't it? So when one hormone is affected, all the others will also be affected. So this is how we can explain.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I know that Anil, you've got your hand up, so please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hi. Yeah. Sorry, you did say something about meaty seeds not helping the diabetes, and they're all not proven and all that. Just want to know, in regards to Ayurvedic, are they not scientifically proven there?
Were you in my talk when I was doing the talk, or have you just?
I did. I think it's Facebook that you were talking about, and all sorts of things. Is that right?
Just now, my last slide was on Ayurvedic. Were you here?
Maybe not.
So I just mentioned, I did whole 2 slides just 5 minutes ago. I just did 2 slides on Ayurvedic. And when you talk about this, the thing is, let me go back a little bit. When you're talking about the methi seeds and all, I'll keep coming back to fiber. What do seeds have? Seeds have fiber. So the more the fiber you have, it will slow the release of sugars in your body. So in that aspect, if you include the seeds, go for it. I always say more seeds, more nuts, more seeds, more whole grain because of the fiber. As far as the Ayurvedic is concerned, you can go through the slide, but what we say is that because Ayurvedic, I totally think that why it works is, and the research is also supporting that, is because it's a total complete change in your lifestyle. It's everything to do with your mind. It's everything to do with your spirituality. It's everything to do with yoga, meditation. And when we talk about diabetes management, we talk about these things anyway. We talk about, when we talk about Ayurvedic, it's all about changing your lifestyle. And when we talk about diabetes, it's all about changing your lifestyle. So yes, when people follow the Ayurvedic lifestyle, not just the diet, they're doing meditation, they're doing exercise, it works. But then the only reason why I'm stressing on the point that, you know, people sometimes just focus on the foods mentioned in the Ayurvedic, and then it's not working. So if you're following that, then you have to follow the whole thing, and because that's how we are thinking about diabetes management as well.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Brilliant. And I know that Akhil, you had 2 questions, so feel free to unmute yourself and ask if you would like to. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Otherwise, I will go ahead and ask, because I think you asked 2. So you were sorry, let me just scroll through. You were asking or suggesting or asking for suggestions on reversing pre-diabetes.
Yeah. So that's a very good question, I think, because science is so weird, because I've been doing this for the past 5-6 years. And when first I used to do talks, I used to say that you cannot reverse your diabetes. And this, you're talking about pre-diabetes. And I used to say this. And now the current research suggests that even if you've got diabetes, the initial stages, as soon as you get it, you can go into remission. I don't want to use the word reverse, actually. I was thinking about the word. So when you are saying that you're thinking about pre-diabetes and you're thinking about reversing it, absolutely it can be done. When you've got diabetes, you can also go in remission. The reason I'm not using the term reverse is because there are no guarantees. And it is all about, you know, life happens, stress happens. Like the lady said, menopause happens, and then your sugars are all over the place. That's why I don't want to use the term reverse, and I want to use the term remission. If you are pre-diabetic and you want to go into remission or reverse it, it can be done. So what do you need to do? The first is, you definitely, I'm telling you very briefly, summarizing it to you, that first you need to include some sort of activity every day, 30 minutes of exercise every day, because that will improve your insulin resistance. Thinking about your weight, most of us, when we've got diabetes, we are overweight. Some of us are not, but if you are, think about losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight. So when my patients come to me, they say to me, I want to lose 20 kilos. I want to lose 15 kilos. Please don't think that way. That will not happen, because that's really unrealistic. So for instance, if you are 80 kilos, just work to lose 4 to 8 kilos of your body weight. So that's 5 to 10% of your body weight. And just by losing this 5 to 10% of your body weight, you've brought down all your risk factors, and you're taking your diabetes, reversing it, going into remission, the pre-diabetes. When I say exercise, we've talked about, weight loss, we've talked about, then diet wise, we can do a big, another session on it, talking about what sort of diet you should be following. But overall, including all food groups in your diet. So you're thinking about including starchy carbohydrates in your diet, you're thinking about protein, you're thinking about vegetables, you're thinking about healthy fats, but then the proportions need to be understood, that you're aiming to have half a plate of vegetables in both your meals, you're controlling your carb portion, you're thinking about how much fats you're having. If I'm really pedantic about it, and if I'm really following the protocol, it's 2 to 3 teaspoons of oil in a day, which is impossible in a South Asian diet. We have 1 teaspoon of oil in 1 Nivala we have. So what I say to my clients, my patients, is that as much you can reduce oil intake, do that. So it's the overall lifestyle which you need to be changing.
Brilliant, thank you. Geeta, did you want to ask your question? You are welcome to unmute. Otherwise, I can read it. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the talk. It was very interesting. I was just wondering if intermittent fasting can help if one is a pre-diabetic, or using almond flour. Is that better when cooking chapatis or rotis and stuff like that?
Thank you very much, Geeta. Thank you for your question. So the first, I'll come to intermittent fasting. So there have been really promising results for the intermittent fasting, and people have managed to control or go back into remission. At the end of the day, even in intermittent fasting, you are eating less than your requirements. There is this specific window you're eating in that time, and you're not eating the rest of the day. So the idea remains the same. If you are able to create that calorie deficit, even if you're not doing intermittent fasting, you will see results. But I think for some people, following a certain protocol works for them. So I always say that if intermittent fasting is something which works for you, go for it. But you just have to think that the sustainability side of it. I've seen many of my clients, then they suffered because, someone has called them for a breakfast party or, a get together, coffee morning, and they can't do it. So you have to think of the sustainability side of it. If you can sustain it, and doing intermittent fasting, you're eating healthy, so you're including all the food groups in your diet, that's absolutely up to you. If you want to do it, you can. As far as the almond flour, you said that including it, making rotis from it. The thing is that, yes, it will help you with your sugar levels, but we also need to think about that we do need starchy carbohydrates. On one hand, we need to understand that we really do need starchy carbohydrates. Our body, our physiology needs starchy carbohydrates to do all the bodily functions. So you can have normal roti, just watching the portions. As far as the almond flour is concerned, we really need to think about the fat content we're having as well, because most of the almond flour will be high in saturated fat as well, and the healthier fats as well. I won't call saturated fat, but it might be high in the fat area as well. So the problem with that is that it will not affect your sugar levels. But when we have got diabetes or we are at risk of diabetes, we're also thinking about our cholesterol level. We're also thinking about our blood pressure. So something which you can add, but even if you're not adding it and you're just having whole meal roti, whole meal atta with the fiber. So you're always thinking about the fiber. That will slow the release as well.
Thank you. That's really, really helpful. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. I think Sana just wanted a clarification more than anything. Just chai and flaxseed. So does that help in reducing blood sugar levels or not?
So chia seeds and flax seeds are really, really good because they're a source of omega-3 fatty acids. And and for many of you who are suffering with bloating or any other issues, it will be helpful in that as well. They are full of fiber, so something which we recommend anyway. But again, there is I won't say that you have chia seeds and all of a sudden sugars have gone better or you're feeling better. It's again coming down to the main thing, fiber. Why do we say that chia seeds is good, flax seeds is good? Because they're full of fiber. And when we, for instance, now this is a very good way I can explain. So when we talked about roti just now, the other lady who mentioned about the roti, if you mix, when you're kneading your dough and you mix a little bit of chia seeds or flax seeds to it, you're adding more fiber. So when you're eating it, your body will have to work harder to break it down to release the sugars. So definitely a better option for you. So I hope I answered the question. I think I kept on going on the answer, but I hope I answered it. I'm not sure.
Cool. I think Milani has a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I was told that if you're diabetic, that you should eat small amounts throughout the day, not because I was listening to you saying about people who eat a certain amount at a certain time and then don't eat nothing. But I was told that you should really spread your meals across the day, not do.
I totally agree with whoever who said this to you. I would say what happens is, many times what happens is that my patients come to me, they're not, and this is very common, not just among South Asian communities. I work with white communities over here as well. It's very common. I don't eat anything all day. They say to me, my sugars are all over the place. I don't know why. I don't eat all day. I just eat one meal a day. And even then my sugars are all over the place. This is what we get. So we really need to understand that when we want to regulate our sugar levels, our body needs small boosts of energy throughout the day.
Yeah.
So our sugars are low all day. We're not eating. At night we eat, boom, our sugars go up. We want steady rise in our sugar levels. So throughout the day, if we're releasing slow energy throughout the day, our sugar levels will not spike up. They will go up and then they will come down, steady rise, steady decline. And this is how you want your sugar levels to be.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there are two types of people as well. So one are those, who just, my grandparents used to be like that, just breakfast, lunch and dinner. And now the things have changed. People have breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. So this is how the life has become. It's absolutely up to you how you want to go on with it. At the end of the day, watching your portions. If you're eating regularly, what are the snacks you're having? Are they healthy snacks? But making sure that you're having something throughout the day. Yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think there was a question in the chat, but I think it's already just being answered about gram flour.
So I think with gram flour basin, what happens is, when it's again the same thing, Akhil, I think it's Akhil who's asked the question. The thing is, gram flour is made from chickpeas, isn't it? So chickpeas, when you have chickpeas, dietetically, although they have got carbs, but dietetically we label them as proteins. So because they're high in fiber as well. So I would always encourage you to have chickpeas because of the extra fiber in them, because they're a source of protein as well. But when the chickpeas are all mashed up and changed into basin, then the sugars are free. So I will treat it just like a roti chapati, the carbs which you're having. You understand that? So you can still have it, but because it will be a source of protein as well, but you still have to watch the portion.
Cool. It's almost like we have to eat difficult food. It's sort of what I'm hearing a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, there was a really good question. I don't know, Mamun, if you want to unmute yourself and ask, or if you want me to read it.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, the question was really regarding black seed oil, which is quite common in our culture.
What do you call it in Urdu? Do you know?
It's Nigella
Oh, yeah.
So people obviously use it for massaging and other kind of therapy as well. But some people actually drink it like on empty stomach, like 1 spoon, for example, first thing in the morning. And they say that can help to reduce the blood sugar level. Do you have any knowledge about this?
A very good question, Mamoon, and I know that that's why I was not sure about the black seed oil, but when you told me the Nigella side of it, now I understand what you're talking about. So the thing is, any oil you have, regardless of it's this black seed oil, or they will not affect your sugar levels at all. What affects your sugar level is starchy carbohydrates, your fruit, your vegetables, your milk, your dairy. When we are talking about oils will affect our cholesterol. As far as this black seed oil is concerned, it has got the good fats rather than the bad fats, to make it really easy to understand. So as far as cholesterol is concerned, it is beneficial for us. But then having a teaspoon of oil, it has a laxative effect. So probably if someone has got constipation, it might be helping them. The explanation for if it is helping them control their sugar levels, what fats do it, whenever we add any kind of fats to our carbs, it slows down the release of the sugars. So for instance, if you have a roti and you put a little bit of this black seed oil on it, the absorption of the sugars, the release of the sugars will be slower in the body. So that is one way. But on the other hand, when we are thinking about diabetes, we're also thinking about our cholesterol and blood pressure. So we cannot have large amounts of oil anyway. So I think the concept that having oil before having a teaspoon of oil, that has no significance at all. The laxative effect can be there, and perhaps if they're having breakfast afterwards, it may slow down the sugar release. So that's the only explanation I can have for this. I hope it made sense, Mamoon.
Yeah, thank you. Also, just to add that some people use it as seed in their food. For example,
then
they mix
again,
it with
in
the
fact,
naan
so
bread.
you've got it. You've got, so yeah. So they put it on the seeds, and that's what I said initially as well, that if you include seeds, nuts and all in your bread, it will slower the absorption of sugars. So it is a very good idea, I think.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. And Sana was just expanding on that thing earlier we were saying about, you know, small regular meals versus 3 or 4. And she was saying that she did actually see a post that said eating 3 to 4 times a day or having 3 to 4 meals a day is good for digestion compared to 5 or 6. So I guess, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, Sana, it is very individual. You'll be surprised that every person is completely different. I will have the same food, you will have the same food, and how our body will react to it will be completely different. So for some people, 3 to 4 meals might work and might help them control their sugars, weight, everything. For some people, 4 to 5 meals may work, small, short. So I will not make a generalization. I would say, listen to your body, see how you feel, what works for you. If you've got diabetes, you can see what's happening to your sugars, how you're feeling. If you don't have diabetes, just see how you get on with is having 3 meals making you better digest your food, or is having 5 meals making you better digest your food. So think of it as a very individual. It's very, very individual.
Thank you. I'll just say, is there anyone else that has any more questions? Because if not, then what I will do is I will pull up the Zoom poll that we did at the beginning. Now I'm aware that obviously lots of people have joined later or people have changed. So we may not get an exact comparison. But just while I'm chitter-chattering, just looking, I don't think there's any more.
I have one question. Sorry, Liz.
Okay, go ahead, Emma. Great, thank you.
I've been hearing more about migration health lately, and it's Emma here, Fareeha.
Okay, I can't. Okay,
I've been hearing more about migration health and how different people, and I think you just touched on it just now about how different people react to different foods. And I was just wondering that people who come from different countries like that, Southeast Asia, can different food here have an effect in different ways from people from other countries? Because we seem to be prone to some diseases more than others. So I'm thinking, is there something in our genetic makeup that makes us, affected by other foods? And one last thing, and I think I've got the answer from what you were saying when you've
already answered your questions yourself. So.
No, I also think I remember you just saying that you're not going to use the word reverse. And recently in a meeting I heard with some people saying by doctors saying that diabetes, once you've got it forever, and it cannot be reversed. And I just wanted to hear your comments on that.
Yes. So I'll come to the second question first, because the first one you answered almost yourself. So the thing is, and this is what a few years back I always used to say, that you've got it, that's it. So at present, the current research says that, once you've got, but that's just in the initial stages. So what we say is that if you've got an HbA1c of more than 48, you are characterized as having diabetes. So someone who has got 49 HbA1c or 50 diabetes, they are at greater chances of moving back their diabetes for someone who's got 70 HbA1c. But the doctors, I'm not sure why the doctors are saying you've got it. Probably they're saying it in that context that it is, we will not use the word reverse, because the diabetes patients, they're put in a register, and even once they go into even when they go in remission, we don't remove them from the register, because we still go through the yearly checks, whatever the yearly checks diabetes patients should be having. We still go through all those because of thinking that what if this person had someone died in their family and they've taken stress, their sugars will go all over the place, and then it can come back because they have gone through that problem. So probably in that context they were saying, but certainly many of my patients have gone into remission. That is, I'm not making it up, but this has happened, that they have gone into remission by making extreme lifestyle changes in their diet. As far as the previous question is concerned, yes, it has all to do with genetics, and so I think a lot has to do with the gut microbiome system as well. So for instance, if we're living in Pakistan, our gut is only used to certain kind of microbiomes or certain kind of foods. And when we immigrate or we come to these countries, all of a sudden the food makeup changes, even though it's the same food, but how it's planted, how it's manufactured might be different, and our gut is not ready to take that in. So again, it happens, and it is absolutely correct in what you say.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions, and people can still jump in. Don't worry, I'm just doing a Zoom poll. So let me just pass that out to all of you guys, and then of course, I'm sure we will all want to say a big thank you to you. So let me just bring up the second one. So you can see our first one where we had 3/4 at agree and 1/4 at disagree. Lovely. So for poll 2, it's the exact same question. So you can see it come up on your screen. And the question says, I feel confident that I understand why diabetes type 2 is more common in the South Asian community. And you just click on strongly agree, agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. And there's no right or wrong. It's just how you feel at the moment. Brilliant. So thank you for all answering. Let me just share that with you. So we've got 45% saying strongly agree, which is great because we didn't have a single person say that before the session. So you've obviously done a really, really great job there. And we've got 45% say agree, and then 9% say strongly disagree. So that's a fantastic result. I'm very, very happy with that. So before we all head off, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Fareeha, because you've just answered so many questions beyond even your presentation. And I really hope that, this really empowers people and helps people have a much greater understanding. Just a reminder for all of you here that this will be uploaded to the ARCC Ltd YouTube, which basically stands for Asian Resource Centre of Croydon, and that means you can share it with your family and friends. So that is really important, because obviously the more people are aware, the more educated everyone is, the more handle we have on this concern. And yeah, do check out Fareeha on Instagram as well. I follow her and she does really, really cool stuff. So that's basically why I invited her here. So I highly recommend following her on there. And then the last thing is, if you do have any long-term conditions like diabetes, then just a reminder that we do run the free program here in Croydon called the Expert Patients Program, which is for anyone with diabetes or things like hypertension, high cholesterol as well. And it's a free 6-week course. And I have put the link into the chat for you guys. But if you forget, you can just Google Asian Resource Centre and it is all on there for you. And the last thing I just wanted to ask is there any possibility we can get your PowerPoint emailed to us and I can send it to people?
I can email it to you. I'll email it to you and then you can further send it. No problem.
Okay, brilliant. Because I'm sure there's people here that, would just like to top up the memory and just, keep an eye on things. So thank you so much again. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you.
Very helpful.